Welcome back to TC Talk Sports. This is number 2 of NBA team previews. If you missed the first one, I broke down the Boston Celtics. Go back on this channel and watch that one either before you watch this one or finish it and go back, and you're definitely going to want to watch that. In this video, I'm going to break down the Memphis Grizzlies, who could be a shocking team in the NBA this season after a rather disappointing season last year. Before I jump into my breakdown about the Memphis Grizzlies, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm doing previews for every single team in the NBA. You're going to want to follow along. I have a bunch of stuff for you to get ready for this upcoming NBA season. It's going to be a great year in the NBA, so you're definitely going to want to follow along on this YouTube channel. Also, go over to TikTok, search up TC Talk Sports, give that page a follow. We're going to have a lot of basketball content leading up to the NBA season and throughout the NBA season. Grizz went 27-55 last season. That was 13th in the West, but you know the story with the Grizzlies past couple years have been injuries. They dealt with a lot of injuries last year. We got to see a lot of new players in Memphis. So kind of interesting year last year that sets up, I think, what is going to be a surprising season for them this year. They averaged 105.8 points per game last season. That was dead last in the NBA. Defensive side, they gave up 112 points per game. That ranked 12th amongst NBA teams last year. So not too bad on the defensive side, just trouble scoring the ball, and that is definitely a cause of all those injuries, different lineups, and different rotations basically every night for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, one of the best players in the league, best player on the Grizzlies, only played 9 games last season, got suspended for 25 games last year for, you know what, don't have to bring it up. And then he ended up needing season-ending shoulder surgery after just 9 games. But in those 9 games, Ja looked great. He averaged 25 points per game, 8.1 assists per game, and bringing down 5.6 boards per game. He's a little bit smaller of a guard, not too tall, but he can do it all on the floor for the Grizzlies, and we're definitely going to see that this season. Possibly could have his name thrown in the ring for MVP by the time we're done with this year. Desmond Bane, he was limited to just 42 games last season for the Grizzlies, but he did average 23.7 points per game, ended up being the leading scorer for the Grizzlies, but he did shoot a career low 38% from beyond the arc, and that's his strong suit, knocking down threes. He's going to have games where he has 5, 6, maybe even 7 three-pointers per game. That low three-point shooting percentage was because of all the injuries. He had to, step up, try to score more for this team to keep them in games and win games. Unfortunately, that didn't happen last year for Memphis, but I'm expecting a good shooting year for Bane this year, at least over 40% from 3. Jaren Jackson Jr., he set a career high in scoring last season, averaging 22.5 points per game. Only averaged 5.5 rebounds per game. You'd like to see that number a little higher out of your big guy. He can play the 4, plays the 5. Might not play the 5 as much this year because of their new addition from the draft, which I'll get to in a second. He played 66 games last year, dealing with a low-grade hamstring strain, but nothing serious. He should be ready for the start of the season and should be healthy as the season progresses. Marcus Smart was a key addition for the Grizzlies last season, but of course, he got injured and was limited to 20 games. He was there for the beginning of the season and then got hurt in early July, missing the rest of the year. But in his time playing, he averaged 14.5 points per game, 4.3 assists, and 2.1 steals per game, setting a career high. And that's why the Grizzlies brought him in. They wanted an elite on-ball defender. He's a reigning Defensive Player of the Year candidate, one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. We'll see how that holds up coming back from an injury. He sprained his right foot. He was dealing with a finger injury. So we'll see what happens with him this year. Not a fantastic offensive player in Marcus Smart, but definitely one of the best individual defenders in the NBA. And GG Jackson, if you watched the end of the year last season or Summer League this year, you definitely know the name GG Jackson. And if you don't by now, you will, at least midway through the NBA season this year. He was a rookie out of South Carolina, still only 19 years old. He was limited to 48 games last season, but he averaged 14.6 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 35% from 3, and he can do it all on the floor. He did need surgery on a broken foot, so that could impact the way he plays, but I don't think that's really going to harm him at all. He's a fantastic, athletic, very versatile player. He's going to miss the start of the season, but when he gets going, he's going to put the league on storm, and people are going to know the name GG Jackson. As I mentioned before, if you watch Summer League, there's no way you didn't see highlights or stats from this guy. He played 6 games, averaged 22 points per game, grabbing 8 rebounds per game. He looked like he was a veteran out there playing in Summer League, and this is only his second year. Again, only 19 years old. Keep your eyes out and your ears open for GG Jackson. In the offseason, Memphis Grizzlies went after their guy. They drafted Zach Edey, who they want to be their starting center. I'm not a big Zach Edey guy. Obviously, National Player of the Year in college basketball last season. A lot of praise on him, but I do not think he's going to be a good NBA player. I want people watching this video to come back and see this clip of me saying he's not going to be a good NBA player. If he's going to have a bad year this year, I'm not going to say he's a bust because it takes rookies a couple years to get into the flow of things, but I don't think he's ever going to find his stride in the NBA, and it's going to end up being a wasted draft pick for the Memphis Grizzlies. Yes, he's tall. Yes, he can grab rebounds and block shots, but on the defensive side, when he gets switched on the guards, because I think a lot of opposing offenses are going to run pick and rolls with him involved, if he gets switched on to a true NBA point guard, there's no way he can defend them out on the perimeter. On the offensive side for Edey, yes, he can score at the rim, but that's pretty much all he has. If he gets pushed out of the paint, I think he's going to be in trouble. But last year at Purdue, we did see an improvement on his passing abilities. So if he gets double-teamed or pushed outside the paint, I think he can make plays passing the ball. But just in general, I do not think Zach Edey is going to be a good professional basketball player. Players to watch out for the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, if you watched more towards the end of last season or Summer League, you know the name Scottie Pippen Jr. Yes, he's the son of Hall of Fame Chicago Bulls player Scottie Pippen. Last year, it was Pippen's second year in the NBA, but he seems he's cool, calm, collective, confident with the ball in his hands. He only played 21 games, but he averaged 12.9 points per game, 49% field goal percentage, 4.7 assists, 3.2 rebounds per game, and he shot 41.7% from 3. He can do it all. He's a bit undersized, but he plays with a confidence. I'm assuming that comes from his dad being one of the best players of all time. Scottie Pippen Jr. will be a very important asset to this Grizzlies team this season. He was on the Lakers. They didn't really give him too big of a chance, and now he's proving them wrong that they should have kept him in LA. But for the Grizzlies now, he's going to come off the bench unless we see more injuries to Morant and Bane. But I assume he's going to get some solid minutes off the bench. Summer League, he played 6 games. He averaged 21.5 points per game this summer, 5 rebounds, and he led all of Summer League, averaging 8.7 assists per game. Again, he's a guy that can absolutely do it all. His shot selection sometimes is not the best, but passing the ball, he makes good decisions, and obviously it has translated already to the NBA game. Another guy to watch on the Grizzlies is Vince Williams Jr. He was limited to 52 games last season. He had a stress reaction in his fibia. He's going to miss the start of the season, so we're going to have to wait on him. He's going to be a role player coming off the bench for the Grizzlies last season. He's another guy that can do it all. He's 6'6", 200 pounds. He's long, lanky, kind of a 3-and-D type of player. Last season, he averaged 10 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 3.4 assists while shooting 37.8% from 3. Also threw in 3 double-doubles last season. He can guard on the perimeter. He can handle the ball on his own, create his own shots. He can make spot-up threes. As of right now, he's a good defender. Can't say really good because he's still young and kind of a small sample size for him. But again, he's going to be another key asset for this Grizzlies team going forward. Obviously, they're not going to stay healthy because it just seems like they're cursed, already dealing with injuries in the preseason. But this Memphis Grizzlies team is super talented other than Zach Edey, and they have a very deep bench, and I think that's going to play out really well for them this season. My prediction, if they all stay healthy or only like 1 or 2 small injuries at a time, this Memphis Grizzlies team is going to make the playoffs. I think they'll have a low seed, probably end up being a play-in team. I think they'll finish with a low seed, maybe 7 or 8 seed, but I think they'll be in the play-in tournament come the postseason. It's that depth. They got to stay healthy. They're a deep team. There's talent on the floor, on the bench. They could play 10, 11 guys every game. Watch out for the Memphis Grizzlies this season and being a surprise team for sure.